Listen, it's a good chance that many people will start getting their tax refunds sooner than previous years, and it's a chance that you could get a larger refund as well. So stick around so you can see the dates of when you file and when you're likely to get a refund. But more importantly, pay attention to the details of what I go over, because many of you may be leaving money on the table. See, oftentimes when people file their taxes, they're so in a rush to file their taxes that they may use their last paycheck stub and didn't even get the opportunity to list or document or share anything associated with the tax deductions that they qualify for. So keep that in mind. Don't just use your last paycheck stub, because it's a good chance you're going to leave money on the table. Also, in addition to that, what you got to understand is many of you have a side business or a side stream of income, whether you realize it or not. You see, social media has literally made just about everybody content creators who are in position to get paid. So you are likely a content creator if your page is monetized. If you understand that, now you go into the content creation totally different, and you take advantage of the tax deductions that come along with it. And this can easily put thousands back into your pocket in the form of tax deductions that offset your tax liability, causing you to legally be able to pay less in taxes, aka get more money back. So I want to say that just so I can be clear, because I really know that some people jump off and they, just want to hear what the dates are. But I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't share the fact that you could very likely be leaving a ton of money on the table by not knowing that you already have a side business, a side gig, especially for those of you who are gig workers. That's a whole nother conversation. Now, let's dive into it. So 2026 income tax refund dates and calendar. When will I get my tax refund? And shout out to the practice advisor for keeping up to date information in these areas. So it's an easy way to estimate when you can get your income tax refund in 2026. And no calculator, no need to enter personal information. It's just a chart. So that being said, this information is as recent as December 28, 2025. So the coming income tax filing season is still a month away, but there are many questions and uncertainties. I'm going to fast forward a little bit just so I don't read it verbatim. But the big, beautiful bill changed some things as well. And the government shutdown cuts to the IRS staff changes some things as well. So that being said, you got to understand that you getting your refund is something that you can have an idea of when you'll receive it. Of course, it's subject to change. But what I really want to point out is that a couple of things that was significant about the changes is that they're having no tax on some of the overtime pay. They also have some changes with those who have new car loans, and tips for some workers not being taxed as well, and an increase in the child tax credit and many other deductions. Now, for those of you who get a child tax credit, an increase in that can higher your refund, but the child tax credit is also associated with if you pay your child as an employee for helping out in your business. So that can help you tremendously. More details on that in a future video. But the IRS is basically saying that they will no longer issue paper refund checks. Why is that important? Well, if everybody has to get direct deposit, then that speeds up the process as well, because now everything is going digital. They're not doing the paper checks. Some of you may not like that. Some of you may be okay with it because you wasn't getting a paper check anyway, but it's very important to note. So that's another thing that can speed up the process. However, for users without a traditional bank account, several prepaid debit cards are available on the market, but watch out for the fees, because sometimes these fees, even though it helps you get it faster, can cut into your refund, and you got to determine for yourself if it's worth it or not. Now, it goes without saying that many people dislike the IRS, but a lot of people also look forward to getting those tax refunds regardless, and they use it to do certain things. They may take a vacation, they may pay off bills. Some people want to be strategic and put it into their business. Some people want to invest, which is a great idea in addition to business related things, but do something strategic with it. But hey, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but it makes sense if you can take that money and grow that money and multiply that money, or take that money and put it into some type of business that creates you some level of cash flow. That's a good idea all the time, even with the money that you make on a week to week, month to month basis with your main source of income. So they're saying the good news is that in 2026, many might see a higher income tax refund because of some of the new deductions and credits, and also due to late changes in income tax withholdings, which might mean that some employers withheld a little too much this year. And that has been happening for decades. Most of the time, people overpay in taxes, not just pay their fair share, overpay in taxes. So if you're overpaying in taxes, a refund is you getting your overpayment back. So that can fatten a refund. But a better way to do it is to understand tax deductions and what I talked about if you have some type of side gig, because that positions you to control your refund in a way that allows you to legally, ethically, and morally boost your tax refund by having tax deduction. So when can you expect your income tax refund? Well, let's get into the chart. And basically, it depends on when you file your return, but typically it's within a 10 to 21 day window. However, with many new tax deductions and credits, some of which may mean that IRS and tax software makers have to create new forms and updates to their forms, there could be a slight delay at the start of the tax season. But this is what I want you to make note of. Since the direct deposit is one of the things that is now mandatory, that speeds up the process. So right here it shows, I'm going to go 2 categories. The left side is if the IRS accepts the e-file return by this date, then the direct deposit refund may be received as early as 10 business days after e-file accepted. The IRS says paper checks will no longer be issued for tax refunds. Very important. So the IRS may start accepting returns as early as January 26th. Depending on when you're watching this video, you still got plenty of time to know whether or not they'll be, starting at that time or sooner. However, you may receive your refund as early as what's shown on the right. So if you file on the 26th on the opening date, if they keep that date, then you're likely to get accepted and have it by February the 6th. If you file on the 2nd, you can have it by February 13th, file on the 9th, 20th, file on the 16th, 27th. I'm not here to read on each and every one, but take your screenshots just so you can have an idea. And many of you have goals of when you want to have the money by. Well, if you know you want to have the money by a certain date, then guess what? Just file by the date that you see on the left to get it accepted by that date, to increase the chances of you having it by the date shown on the right. And if you don't want to put yourself in a position to have it too late, then you might want to start getting your records and things intact right now. So that way, when you are filing your taxes, you have less digging to do. If you have a tax professional that's working, they should be asking you questions to help you get as much as what's rightfully yours as possible, basically helping you lower your tax liability legally. So you should have your documents in order and start getting that in order right now. That way, when it's time to file, you're not reaching and digging. You're already working on accumulating everything that you need based on whatever your tax professional tells you. So here are some of the dates. Screenshot it just so you can have it and understand that e-filing positions you to get things faster. Then, of course, there are some after deadline dates, and that's if you file after April 15th. So you got April 20th. You'll likely get it on May 1st. April 27th. You'll likely get it on May 8th. And of course, you may have to file an extension and do some of the things that are necessary. But I just want you to see these dates, get screenshots, and understand that you're always able to use the Where's My Refund tool or have the app, the IRS To Go app. So that way you can have a direct understanding or a direct pathway to when you're likely to get your refund and what the status is of your refund based on whenever you file. That being said, if you need help with increasing your cash flow, understanding how to shift income from the people that are taking your money in order to help you keep more of your money, it should be a link available down below that shows you a strategy that we've been able to use for years that has helped so many people across the nation. And I'm pretty sure it can help you as well. But now you know the dates. Stay tuned to other information pertaining to taxes and how you can save money, because it's a lot of money being left on the table. And before the IRS starts accepting returns, I want to give you some videos that can help you legally, ethically, and morally save a ton of money on taxes based on things you may have already did in 2025 that you may not have known was a tax saving event. Mr. Smith signing out. Salute.